Hello my friends, it's Cami from the blog Tidbits. I've been having fun in the kitchen and I want to share with you some amazing recipes for cooking asparagus. I love asparagus. Name that movie. I'll be really curious if any of you know what it is. It's one from my childhood that I watched over and over. I digress. Today we are talking about how to cook asparagus. I'm sharing 3 recipes and there will be printable recipes on my blog at tidbits-cami.com if you want to check those out. And I want to share 3 different cooking methods that you can use to cook asparagus. It is the best spring side dish, or even if you just want a yummy, healthy, nourishing, quick snack, cook up some asparagus. It is so delicious, and if you're in the spring season, it is at its prime. And it is delicious. So let me share with you these 3 recipes. Now, if you really want to get all the information you can about asparagus, check out my blog post. I really dug deep into some research and I'm sharing lots of good tips about how to pick it out, the prime time to buy it, and lots of really cool information about asparagus. But here I just want to help you know quickly what to look for when you're buying it, how to store it, and then we'll get to the recipes. So when you're looking for asparagus, you really don't want it too thin or too thick. If it's thicker, it's usually a little bit out of season and it's kind of woody in the center. I don't like it when they're just too fat, when the stalks themselves are actually just too fat. So you also don't want them too thin, but I would buy thinner asparagus over kind of the chunky ones if that was my only options. So anyway, this is an example of just some prime asparagus, not too thin, not too thick, just absolutely delicious and in full abundance during the spring season. And once you get your asparagus home from the grocery stores, you need to store it properly if you're not gonna cook it right away. So here's a quick little tip. Just cut off a little bit off the ends and then stick it into like a jar or a vase of water and put it in the fridge that way. They're much like flowers. They'll just kind of absorb that water, and if they're sitting in water with a fresh cut on the stem, it allows that water to be soaked up easier, so they will last quite a while in the fridge if you do this little preparation before you store it away. And now when it's time to actually get cooking them, there's a little bit of prep work you can do. So first of all, the ends of the asparagus are often wider on the inside in the flesh part. And the wider it is, the kind of more woody and chewy they are. So you really want to cut off that lower stem part where it is a little bit stiffer. So what I like to do is just like slowly bend one of the stalks of the asparagus, and then you can kind of see where it bends and where it might be stiffer at the bottom. So just slowly bend it until it snaps, and it usually snaps in just the right spot. So you can take that one stalk and then measure it with the whole bunch of asparagus that you bought and just cut them all off right there. That usually is a good way to get your asparagus prepped and cut at the right length so that the whole thing is just yummy. Then of course you want to wash your asparagus really well before you start cooking it. I've seen a lot of people actually peel it like you would a carrot and take off that top layer. I don't like to do that actually. I really like the texture and the look of just the raw asparagus, but you definitely can peel off the layer if you don't want more of that chewy skin on the outside. All right, let's dive into the recipes and the methods to cook asparagus. There are actually many methods, but these are my 3 favorite and my 3 favorite ways to serve them up. So the first is your most basic way to cook them, and that's just with a little olive oil, salt and pepper, and with an oven roast. So really simple, you don't need a whole lot of ingredients, but they still turn out delicious. So once your asparagus is all prepped, you will want to get a pan with a wire rack. You'll want to cook the asparagus on that rack so that it allows for some air circulation at the top and the bottom. That will make them just more crisp, tender versus steamed. Sometimes if you put them right on the pan, they get a little softer. So if you like a crisp, tender asparagus, it's best to cook it on a wire rack. So to prep the ingredients onto the asparagus, you can do this a couple ways. You can just do a quick little drizzle and toss it with your hands, sprinkle on salt and pepper. I do that when I'm just working really quick in the kitchen, but I found the best way is to actually get a Ziploc bag and put your asparagus inside of it, add a drizzle of olive oil, and then salt and pepper inside of the bag, and then you just zip it up and give it a really good shake. This just incorporates the oil and the salt and pepper more evenly on all the stalks, and I find that is the yummiest result, and it cooks more evenly throughout. So once it's all shaken up and you feel like it's gone on all the stalks, just put it right onto that wire rack, and then you will preheat your oven at 400 degrees. I have found that I really like the oven super hot to cook asparagus so that it's crispy and yet chewy at the same time, so this just works perfectly at 400 degrees. You can also broil asparagus, but I have found that just maybe gets it a little bit too crispy, and I've had too many times where I leave it in too long and don't check it and it's burnt. So 400 degrees is a great place to put your oven. I feel like ovens cook time sometimes varies, so you'll want to watch it and get a feel for like the perfect doneness, but I have found that about 12 minutes in an oven roast is perfect for cooking asparagus. So set your timer. I actually like to set it at 6 minutes and then flip them and kind of toss them around and then put them back in the oven and do another 6 minutes. I find that this is perfect. I would say the benefits of doing an oven roast, number one, it's just pretty effortless. You probably use your oven a lot, are very familiar with it, so I feel like it really is just the easiest method. But also I feel like an oven roast really maintains the color really well of the asparagus, so it creates just a beautiful dish to serve up. I love the color. It's the perfect crisp, tender texture, not too crispy, so the oven does a really good job for presentation's sake and texture. And I do want to add, any of these recipes, you can do any of the cooking methods. So this one with just the olive oil and salt and pepper, pretty basic. You just put in the oven, take it out. But if you're doing garnishes like I'm sharing in the other recipes, you'll want to add the garnish or like the cheese or any kind of topping close to the end of the cooking time. So just keep that in mind. And if you are a little confused by all of this, definitely check my blog post. I will go into more of those details on the actual recipe cards. And with asparagus, I'm kind of a eyeball cook. I just drizzle, sprinkle, and that's fun for me. But if you need more exact measurements, check out my blog post. I will have them there for you. Okay, second recipe, second cooking method. This one is a garlic Parmesan asparagus recipe. So delicious. And I'm going to show you how you can cook it in the air fryer. If you have an air fryer, you probably love it. There's a lot of perks about cooking stuff in the air fryer, and asparagus does really well inside the air fryer. Now this recipe is so similar to the other one. In fact, you're gonna start with the same ingredients, a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper. I might also add, if you have like avocado oil or any different kind of oil, you can certainly use those too. But I love the olive oil notes with the asparagus, so that usually is my favorite and my go-to. All right, so you get that olive oil and the salt and pepper on these asparagus stalks. Then you're also going to add the addition of some garlic powder on this one. Just a little sprinkle, don't go too heavy, but get those tossed all around together, and then you're going to cook the asparagus. Now we're going to add Parmesan cheese on this one, which is so yummy, but you're going to do that towards the end of the cooking. Whether you're using the air fryer or the oven, you'll add Parmesan cheese like a garnish towards the end. Now when it comes to cooking with the air fryer, I have found that 6 minutes is about the sweet spot, but you'll definitely want to keep a close eye. I started with 8 minutes and quickly found out that that was way too long. At 6 minutes, I was pulling them out. But so the air fryer, I like to start at 400 degrees on there too, really hot. It heats up super quick and cooks these asparagus really quick. So that is a lot of the convenience with the air fryer. Now, if your air fryer is like mine, if you set the timer, it will actually beep at you halfway through to alert you to flip your food. So that's a really good reminder. Just give it a little toss so that it gets cooks evenly throughout, and then put it back in. I would say about 1 minute before it's done, take it out again, and then sprinkle on your Parmesan cheese. And you can use freshly grated Parmesan cheese or grated from the store. Either way is fine, but then about 1 minute is max in the air fryer, and then it starts to get super crispy and aromatic and just so delicious looking. So perk with using the air fryer as far as taste, this is the best method if you really like a crispy but not burnt asparagus. Sometimes if I'm going for crispy asparagus in the oven, they also get a little overcooked. So the air fryer does a good job at steaming them so they're still that crispy tender bite, but they're just a little more on the crispy side. So super delicious. And when you add that Parmesan cheese with the garlic powder, it's a delicious combo. All right, final recipe and final cooking method. This one is a flavor bomb of asparagus. So we're pulling in lots of yummy spring tastes and smells into this recipe. That is a butter, lemon, garlic, and herb asparagus recipe. So much flavor. It is so delicious. And I'm going to show you how you can make asparagus on a skillet this time. Okay, for your ingredients, you're going to get a lemon, and you can zest it to get just a major pack of lemon flavor with the asparagus, which those combos are just delicious and so perfect for spring. So zest your lemon, set aside that zest, and then you can also juice the lemon to get even more flavor. So I juice this whole lemon here, and then you can add some additional fresh herbs. Even dry works great, but fresh really brings a lot of flavor and freshness to every bite. So my preferred herb for these flavor combos is thyme. If you have lemon thyme, even better. I'm waiting for our lemon thyme to grow for us this year, but I just grabbed some thyme at the store, and you just take it off the stalks. They're such little leaves, you don't have to chop them up, but this will add some really great fresh flavor to this recipe. Now you could cook this in olive oil, but I'm telling you, if you use butter for this recipe, the butter, lemon, herb, you just can't go wrong. So I just grabbed a couple slabs of butter, and I like to actually use fresh garlic for this recipe because you're sauteing them. Sauteing that butter and garlic together just releases the best flavor. And don't be afraid of that garlic kind of burning on the bottom of the skillet. I love our cast iron skillet for this, but any skillet you have will work. If it burns, it gets crispy at the bottom. I just think it adds the best flavor. All right, so you've got your skillet with the butter, the garlic, and throw in your asparagus and take it over the oven, turn on high heat, and just keep an eye on it. Keep tossing the asparagus in the butter as it begins to melt. Toss the garlic around, and just let that kind of saute until you feel like the asparagus is getting done. I just like to grab one asparagus and kind of see if it's a little limpy. You can definitely do a bite test and see if it's the right doneness for you, but these cook pretty fast sauteing on a skillet. So keep an eye on them and just keep tossing them around. And while you're sauteing them, don't forget to sprinkle on some salt and pepper as well. Okay, once they are done in the pan, you get it off the heat, and this is when you can kind of add your lemon and the herbs. So I found when it's still pretty hot is a good time to add the lemon juice. I ended up pouring in all the juice from this one lemon, and I feel like it was too much. So I would recommend just a half of the juice from about a half of a lemon. I feel like maybe mine was just a little too potent with the lemon. So throw in some juice to your taste, however strong in the lemon flavor you want it. It kind of sizzles in there. Toss your asparagus around in it. It smells so good. And then I like to actually toss in the herb at this point. I don't like to cook the herb, the fresh herb, but if you throw in the fresh herb when it's still a little hot, it does a really good job at releasing the oils and the flavors. So that's when I toss in the herbs. Makes them a little bit soft, and just the flavor is more evenly throughout your dish. Then at this point, you can plate up your asparagus if you're putting it on something separate. And then at this point, I like to add the lemon zest as a garnish. I think I went a little heavy on this first recipe that I was doing here, but add as much zest as you want. If you want a very lemony, just go all out. If you just want the lemon flavor a little more faint, be more minimalistic in your zesting. But I do have to say, this butter lemon garlic herb recipe is to die for. It is so delicious, but really you can't go wrong with any of them, so I hope you give them a try. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you get to try out some asparagus and some new recipes and some new cooking methods. I would love to hear if you have a tried and true method yourself. Go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And then if you have a little extra time today, I would love your support and have you go and check out my shop at tidbitsandcompany.com. I have some beautiful linen tea towels there if you just love to spend time in the kitchen. Maybe you even like to photograph food or have a business where you photograph food. Throw in some beautiful linen tea towels. It's just the perfect touch for your photographs. And I have many other linen goods that are just great for gifting this time of year. So go and check it out. I appreciate your support and helping me continue to create free content for you every week, often 2 times a week. So thank you for being here. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will be back very soon to share more inspiration for the keeper of the home.